Have you ever had that feeling that you're living a life that doesn't belong to you? As if every morning you wake up to meet the expectations of others, to follow a path you didn't really choose? Think about it for a moment. When was the last time you made a decision based solely on what you wanted? Carl Jung, one of the most revolutionary psychologists of our era, discovered something fascinating that few dare to apply in their lives. When you put yourself first, when you finally choose yourself, the entire universe begins to reorganize to support your true path. But before diving deeper into this, let me ask you, have you ever felt that inexplicable emptiness, that sensation that something is missing even though you seemingly have it all? Jung had an explanation for this. When we ignore our deepest needs, when we silence our inner voice to please others, we create a disconnection with our authentic self. Imagine your life as a river. When you flow in the direction your soul desires, everything moves with grace. But when you try to force the river in another direction, you only find resistance, exhaustion, and confusion. This is the fundamental difference between living from your authenticity and living to meet others' expectations. Today's world is designed to keep you distracted, busy, always looking outward. Social media, work obligations, family pressures, everything seems to demand that you put others first. Be a good employee, a good child, a good friend. But in that process of pleasing everyone, where do you end up? Jung discovered that the unconscious, that deep part of our psyche we normally ignore, is constantly sending us signals. That restlessness you feel, that inexplicable tiredness, those recurring dreams, they're not random. They're messages your soul is sending, telling you something is not aligned. Think about all the important decisions you've made in your life, your career, your relationships, even where you live. How many of them truly came from your inner desire, and how many were to satisfy what others expected of you? This question is uncomfortable, I know, but Jung taught us that true growth begins in discomfort. When you decide to ignore those inner signals, when you reject the messages of your unconscious time and again, you create what Jung called the shadow. All those parts of you that you deny, all those desires you repress, they don't disappear. They accumulate in your unconscious and eventually find ways to manifest, often in ways you can't control. Have you noticed how some people seem to always attract the same kind of problems, the same type of toxic partners, the same workplace conflicts, the same patterns of self-sabotage? Jung would explain that this isn't bad luck. It's the shadow manifesting, screaming to be recognized. But now comes the interesting part. When you finally decide to listen to your unconscious, when you begin to integrate those parts of you that you've been denying, something extraordinary happens. Jung called it synchronicity, that mysterious connection between your inner and outer world. Suddenly, the right opportunities appear at the perfect moment. People who resonate with your new energy enter your life. Situations that seemed impossible to resolve dissolve naturally. It's not magic or coincidence. It's the direct result of aligning your external life with your inner truth. Let me tell you something maybe no one else has told you. Putting yourself first isn't selfishness. In fact, it's the most generous act you can do for those around you. Because when you live from your authenticity, you offer the world your true essence, not a diluted version of who you think you should be. Jung understood that true self-love has nothing to do with narcissism. It's not about thinking you're better than others or ignoring their needs. It's about honoring your own path, listening to that inner voice that guides you toward your unique purpose. Think about the people you admire most, those who have left a mark on the world, who have inspired others with their work or presence. Do you think they got there by trying to please everyone? Or were they brave enough to follow their own truth, even when no one else understood it? The paradox Jung discovered is that when you dare to be who you really are, you not only free yourself, but also those around you. You give them permission to live their truth too. Your authenticity becomes a beacon that lights the way for others. But being authentic requires courage. It means facing your deepest fears, those inner voices that tell you you're not enough, that you don't deserve what you desire, that it's better to stay where you are even if it's consuming you inside. Jung called this process individuation, the path to becoming who you really are. And he warned that it's not an easy path. It often involves crises, periods of confusion, and even the feeling of being lost, but it's precisely in those dark moments where you find your brightest light. Do you remember a moment in your life when you made a difficult decision, something that scared you, but you knew deep down was right? Maybe you left a relationship that wasn't nourishing you, quit a secure but empty job, or moved to a completely new place following a hunch. How did you feel afterward? There was fear, of course, but also a strange sense of freedom, right? That sensation is your authentic self celebrating your courage. It's your soul saying, finally, you're listening to me. And the most fascinating thing is that, as Jung discovered, when you make decisions from that place of authenticity, the universe seems to conspire in your favor. Let me explain how this works. According to Jung, we all have a kind of inner compass, what he called the self. It's not your ego, not your conscious personality. It's something much deeper. It's the totality of who you are, including aspects you may not yet know. When you make decisions aligned with yourself, you're in harmony with your life's purpose. And that internal harmony generates a resonance that attracts similar external experiences. Jung observed this phenomenon time and again in his patients and in his own life. Before moving forward, let me take a moment to tell you that my book is now available. It's full of advice and techniques to help you overcome emotional blocks and love yourself more. Find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Let's continue. But here's the real challenge. To access yourself, you first have to be willing to let go. Let go of relationships that no longer serve you, jobs that drain your energy, limiting beliefs you've carried for years, and even aspects of your identity that no longer resonate with you. This letting go can be painful. As a society, we've been taught to hold on, to accumulate, to never give up. But Jung shows us that sometimes giving up is exactly what we need, not as an act of defeat, but as an act of profound wisdom. Imagine you're tightly holding a coin in your closed hand. As long as you keep your fist clenched, you can't receive anything else. Only when you open your hand, when you let go of what you have, do you create space to receive something new, perhaps something much better. In my own life, I've experienced this countless times. Moments when I had to let go of people, situations, or even dreams I thought were fundamental to my happiness. And though it felt like a loss at first, I eventually understood that every no to what didn't serve me was a yes to something more aligned with my true essence. Jung explained that when we have the courage to face our shadows, to integrate those repressed parts of ourselves, we experience a kind of rebirth. We're no longer divided internally, fighting against ourselves. Instead, all our energy flows in one direction, and it's precisely this unified energy that has the power to transform your external reality. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate. Think about the people you know who seem to have good luck, those for whom opportunities fall from the sky, who are always in the right place at the right time. What if it's not luck? What if they're simply aligned with their purpose, naturally attracting what they need? Jung observed that these meaningful coincidences, or synchronicities, occur more frequently when a person is in a deep process of internal transformation, as if the universe wants to confirm you're on the right path by sending you signs. Maybe you've experienced this. You're thinking of someone, and suddenly they call. You need certain information, and you casually find a book that has exactly what you were looking for. You're contemplating a major change, and out of nowhere, someone offers you just the opportunity you needed. Jung's explanation for these synchronicities isn't mystical or supernatural. He believed there's a deep connection between our psyche and the world around us, a connection that transcends time and space as we normally understand them. When you put yourself first, when you honor your inner truth, you're tuning into this connection. You're no longer fighting against the current, but flowing with it. And it's in this flow where you find not only inner peace, but also a strange sense of magic in your everyday life. But putting yourself first won't always be understood by those around you. We live in a society that has normalized self-sacrifice, especially for certain groups. Women, for example, are often conditioned to put everyone else's needs before their own, and anyone who prioritizes their well-being can be labeled selfish or inconsiderate. Jung invites us to question these social norms. He reminds us that each of us has a unique path, and following someone else's path, even with the best intentions, will only take us further from our truth. Imagine you're on a plane and an emergency happens. The instructions are clear. Put on your oxygen mask first, then help others. Why? Because if you can't breathe, you won't be able to help anyone else. This simple but powerful metaphor perfectly illustrates why putting yourself first isn't selfishness, but essential self-care. Jung understood that our capacity to give to others, to contribute meaningfully to the world, is directly related to how connected we are to ourselves. When we live from authenticity, our actions have a power and impact they can't have when we act from obligation or duty. Maybe you're thinking, this all sounds great, but where do I start? Jung would give us simple but profound advice. Start by paying attention. Attention to your dreams, your intuitions, those little inner voices you normally ignore. Attention to what energizes you and what drains you. Attention to the recurring patterns in your life. This conscious attention is the first step to reconnecting with yourself. It doesn't require anything special, just your commitment to be present, to observe yourself without judgment, to be curious about your own inner world. The next step is the hardest. Act on what you discover. Maybe you notice that a certain relationship constantly makes you feel small, or that your current job goes against your deepest values, or simply that the life you're living seems to belong to someone else. Acting doesn't necessarily mean making drastic changes right away. Jung was a firm believer in the power of small steps, of gradual but consistent transformations. Every time you choose to honor your truth, even in seemingly insignificant decisions, you're strengthening your connection with yourself. And here's the most extraordinary part. As you become more true to yourself, you'll start to notice changes in your outer world. People who used to drain you mysteriously fade from your life. Opportunities that resonate with your true talents and passions begin to appear. Situations that seem stuck suddenly start to move. Jung observed this phenomenon time and again. The external reality seems to reorganize to reflect your new internal state. It's not that the objective world changes, but as you change your perception of the world and thus your way of interacting with it. It's as if you've been wearing glasses with the wrong color your whole life, and you finally put on the right ones. The world was always there, but now you can see it as it really is. And more importantly, you can see yourself as you really are. This process of internal and external alignment isn't instantaneous or linear. There will be days when you feel like you've regressed, moments when you doubt your path, situations that test your commitment to your truth. Jung reminds us that these challenges aren't obstacles in your path. They are the path itself. Every crisis, every doubt, every moment of confusion is an opportunity to deepen your connection with yourself, to integrate aspects of your shadow you haven't yet recognized. One of the most powerful tools Jung offered us for this journey is paying attention to our dreams. He believed dreams are direct messages from our unconscious, trying to communicate with our conscious mind. If you've noticed recurring dreams, or particularly vivid or emotionally charged dreams, it could be yourself trying to show you something important, something your conscious mind might be overlooking. Taking note of these dreams, reflecting on them, can give you valuable clues about your path of individuation. Another practice Jung recommended is amplification. This involves taking a symbol, image, or emotion that appears in your life and exploring all its possible connections and meanings. For example, if a certain animal repeatedly appears in your dreams or thoughts, you could investigate what that animal symbolizes in different cultures and traditions and see what resonates with you. But perhaps the most important practice Jung left us is conscious dialogue with our different internal parts. He called it active imagination, a state in which you consciously engage with figures from your unconscious, not as fantasies, but as real parts of your psyche you can interact with and learn from. Through this internal dialogue, you can discover aspects of yourself you've been repressing or ignoring. You can reconcile with parts you've judged or rejected. And in this process of integration, your psychic energy stops being divided and begins to flow in one direction, empowering your ability to manifest in the external world. Jung observed that when a person advances significantly in their individuation process, they develop a kind of magnetism. It's not something they do consciously, but a natural quality that emerges when someone is genuinely connected to their essence. These people naturally attract circumstances, relationships, and opportunities aligned with their true self. Have you met people like that? People who seem to have a clarity and purpose others don't possess, who make decisions based on something deeper than mere rational analysis, who seem to be in the right place at the right time over and over again. What Jung discovered is that this quality isn't something you're born with. It's something you develop. And the catalyst for this development is always the same: the courage to choose yourself, to put yourself first, to listen and honor your inner truth, even when everything and everyone around you seems to push you in another direction. This courage doesn't always manifest in grand gestures or dramatic decisions. Often it's found in small, everyday moments, in saying no to an invitation when you really need to rest, in expressing your opinion even if it's different from the group's, in giving yourself permission to follow that creative impulse even if it seems impractical. Each of these small acts of authenticity strengthens your connection with yourself, and over time, these moments add up, transforming not only how you feel about yourself, but also how you relate to the world around you. The fascinating thing is that, according to Jung, this process doesn't just benefit you. When you align with your true self, you're contributing to the collective evolution of human consciousness. Every person who has the courage to live authentically is helping to raise the level of consciousness of all humanity. Think about it. What would a world be like where every person lived from their truth, where each of us had the courage to put ourselves first, not from ego, but from that deep connection with the self? Jung envisioned that world and left us the tools to create it, one person at a time, starting with you. So I ask you now, are you ready to put yourself first? To listen to that inner voice you may have been ignoring for years? To take that first step toward a life that resonates with who you really are? I'm not asking you to abandon your responsibilities or ignore the needs of those you love. I'm inviting you to something much deeper, to recognize that the best way to serve the world is by being true to your essence. And here's the most liberating truth of all: you don't have to do it all at once. You don't need a radical, immediate transformation. You can start today with a single act of authenticity. Maybe it's speaking that truth you've been holding back, or taking that first step toward the dream you've always postponed, or simply allowing yourself to feel that emotion you've been repressing. Jung taught us that the path to wholeness isn't a straight line. It's a spiral where we revisit the same themes over and over, but each time from a deeper level of understanding. So don't be discouraged if you feel like you're grappling with the same issues you thought you'd overcome. It's part of the process. The key is to keep moving forward, keep choosing yourself, keep trusting that inner compass. And as you advance on this path, you'll start to notice those synchronicities, those moments when the universe seems to respond directly to your new energy, not as a reward, but as a natural confirmation that you're in harmony with something greater than yourself. This is the gift Jung left us: the understanding that when we put ourselves first, when we honor our inner truth, we're not acting against the world, but aligning with the deepest forces that move it. So today, here and now, I invite you to make a commitment to yourself, the commitment to listen to that inner voice, to honor your deepest needs, to take a step, however small, toward a life that resonates with your true essence. Because when you put yourself first, when you finally choose yourself, the entire universe responds, not with instant miracles, but with a subtle but powerful reorganization that over time will transform your life in ways you can't even imagine right now. And remember, this isn't a journey you have to take alone. There's this community, this space we've created together where you can share your discoveries, your challenges, your moments of clarity, and your moments of doubt. In the comments, tell me which part of this message resonated with you most. What small step will you take today to put yourself first? If this message touched something in you, share it with someone you think might need it. Sometimes the right words at the right time can be the catalyst for profound transformation. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so we can continue this journey together. Thank you for your presence, for your attention, for allowing me to accompany you on this path toward your true self. Remember, when you put yourself first, it's not the end of your relationship with the world. It's the true beginning. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, always responds.